Hello everybody, welcome back to another World Cup check-in. Hopefully this will be a quicker video because we only have one day to sort of cover. But in case I get distracted, just know that there's puppies. They're predictive puppies. They know what's going to happen in the next game. No, so yesterday we had three games. The first game was Nigeria versus South Korea, which Nigeria won two to nothing, which is kind of shocking considering their ranking. So it's great for them. I think that they're a much better team than perhaps other people suggest, and I think South Korea are they're not having a great World Cup because they've lost two games, so it's definitely a must-win for them in their group. But honestly, I don't see them coming out of this. I just if they're losing 4-0 to France and then 2-0 to Nigeria, I just don't think they're gonna sort of come out of this really that well. Could be something else. Ooh, hush. So the next game, well, before I go that also sort of suggests something about France and perhaps that they they may not be as potent or good as we think, just because of how poor South Korea were and seem to have been. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with when France plays. Well, I guess they're going to play Nigeria next, so we'll sort of have a gauge. I think they'll win that, but ultimately we kind of knew they were going to go through anyway. So it's just a matter of sort of how good they are. And I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical, but I'm still fearful of it. The middle game was Germany against. Who did they play? I don't have my computer with me, so I can't look it up. Let me look that up in just a sec. All right, so it was Germany played Spain, which is. I should have remembered because I watched it yesterday. So Germany played Spain. Much like the first game, they really didn't impress me. They didn't impress any of the pundits that were talking about it, and mostly because, again, it was another 1-0 victory. And especially against a similar side like Spain. I mean, China is worse than Spain, so you'd expect that, okay, maybe it'd be harder. But the way that Spain was playing, they seemed the better team. Probably a little bit more often than not. So that suggests certainly that, okay, Spain are, one, the real deal, and two, that Germany may not be that worthy of that second ranked in the world. Certainly they're a great side. They defended well. They haven't given up a goal, which is always good. Defense wins championships, all that stuff. So, which could be a problem if you're playing a team that, like the U.S., which needs goals to pass, and they're giving up goals. So we'll see. But Spain is certainly not the greatest of teams, and yet Germany only was able to put one past them. And to be honest, it was a mistake by Spain that allowed them to score. It was not like an obvious goal. It was very much like, Spain is going to be kicking themselves if that is how it went out. So in terms of what we learned, okay, that Germany may not be so great, so other teams are going to be licking their chops a little bit more, and certainly not as fearful of them. And for Spain, I think they can hold their heads high and look forward to playing China rather well. Of course, we'll see what China does today to see how motivated the Chinese are going to be to play their match against Spain. So that was the second game, and then the third final game yesterday was the French team playing the Norwegians. So it's France-Norway. After beating up South Korea, you'd think, okay, certainly Norway are going to be a more difficult challenge. You just wonder how good this French side was, and I think we learned that they may not be so dominant. They won the game 2-1, but it came off of a controversial penalty decision, and they didn't score, didn't let up a goal by the other team. The only goal Norway got was an own goal, which says something about it. I sort of made a quip yesterday that if only Norway had a Ballon d'Or winner to chuck on there to try and score a goal, obviously in reference to the missing Ada Hegerberg, who probably could have certainly put them over the top and gotten them through. I respect, though, Ada's reason why she's not there. It's just, going to be one of those narratives that I kept saying is, can Norway score goals? And, it doesn't seem like they're going to, but, we'll see. I think they won their other game, though. I'm not entirely certain of that. Who else is in their group? It's France, Norway, South Korea, and I think Nigeria. Right. So Norway, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I can't remember what Norway did. I think they won against Nigeria just barely, or 3-0. 3-0. So they'll probably make it through. Playing South Korea the way that South Korea has played. So, anyway, the controversial decision on the penalty. This is the second time that a similar sort of thing has happened where a defender has cleared a ball and her foot has been left out, and then she's accidentally sort of stabbed the other person, I guess is the best way, with her studs. Personally, I think it's a little weak, the penalty, and especially compared to the other one. I also don't like the fact that defenders can't seem to clear the ball just by booting it as hard as they can. But I think that's really, we're just seeing this because the women aren't used to VAR in the first place, and secondly, I just think that the argument can be made, okay, you have to adjust to a different style of play, or adjust to clear the ball in a different way, and all that. But still, it's kind of unfortunate, especially since Norway didn't look to be too terrible. They were definitely up for it and all of that, and the goal that was given up, or the penalty decision, decided the game between a draw and a win, which of course is the difference between 3 points for France, or 1 point for France and 1 point for Norway, and goal difference all comes into play there. So we'll see. Still, of course, weary of France, but not as worried, I think, right now. But of course, there's still 2 games for the United States, and there's, of course, still, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So, as far as today, if you're watching this, I'm going to hopefully release this before 11 a.m. It's currently, looks like 9:15. So at 11, we have a very big match, an important match for Australia. They play Brazil. So Australia, I believe, is 6th in the world, and Brazil is 10th. So Australia surprisingly lost their first match to Italy. So they need to win this match, or at least get a point out of it. But you would expect Australia to be able to get a win out of this. They are the better team on paper. So, and I don't know if Marta is going to play for Brazil. She may be out fully. So you're just hoping that they can put together a defensive performance or at least their defense is going to shape up and stop them, and Sam Kerr can score goals. So, that is the overarching question, and certainly there's a lot of pressure on Australia to win and to sort of reaffirm their position as a good team in this World Cup. So it's going to be a competitive match, and I would highly recommend tuning in if you've got nothing else to do. Later on at 2, I believe, is the South Africa versus China. That will be interesting enough because South Africa, they lost their first game, as did China. So we're gonna have to see whether or not see who wants it more. You would expect China to win in this case because they are the higher ranked team, and South Africa are their first time. But South Africa, I think, played well against Spain, so it was unfortunate for them to pick up a red card and all of that. And they were the victims of the other sort of VAR clearance penalty decision that I'm still hesitant about. But if they come out firing, it could be another competitive game. So these two games are going to be some to watch. As for tomorrow, I couldn't even tell you. I know that there's other games going on, but I don't have my computer in front of me. So that will certainly, we'll see about tomorrow. I'll probably check in again just to try and keep these short. So anyway, tune in today, and I will see you tomorrow or whenever.